hope boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today I decided to take my GTX 1650 Super for a spin on Pacific driver or Pacific driver. This game it is exclusive to PS5 and PC. It's not available on Xbox as far as I know, and it's currently a quite demanding title that I wasn't really expecting. It is built in using Unreal Engine 4, and I decided to try the game with multiple different settings. So I did start with the low settings, which is some games at low settings do look good, and this one might look good depending on the situations, but it is a potato because you basically don't get any shadows, and there is a lot of trees and environments. It's like getting back to Fallout 3 or something like that, where environment doesn't have any shadows. So those settings sometimes can look weird, which is not the case at the beginning of this video since it's raining and everything, so you don't really miss those shadows. But as soon as you get to a different time of day, weather or anything like it, your experience will be entirely ruins, right? So yeah, and those settings, depending on the situations, this game can be very variable. Sometimes you might be having like 100 frames per second in a certain weather condition or time of day, and at the same time, the time changes, weather conditions changes, and you are like having 55 FPS. So yeah, it's very unstable on that sense, and unfortunately, it does also stutter a lot. It doesn't feel that it is only shader compilation, but it seems that there are other stutterings like traversal stuttering and stuff like that, which actually it makes sense to happen since this seems like some sort of um, random generated random generating stuff, not the map itself, but all the objects that you do find. It might be random generating, so it pulls a little bit more performance from the CPU, and you can have more stuttering thanks to that. But yeah, the ideal stuff would be not having any stuttering whatsoever. But what I do feel is that there is traversal stuttering, there is shader compilation stuttering, there is stuttering just because the CPU doesn't seem to hold on, or it is entirely single threaded. I'm not really sure. What I can say is that the experience was not great. Even at the low settings, I was having like a lot of stuttering in here. Sometimes the low settings doesn't even handle those 60 frames per second. Sometimes it is 100 frames per second. So the experience it is quite raw. All right, so it's bad. All right, the game might be good at all, and if you care about loot shooters, probably don't care too much about the graphics. But still, it is complicated, alright, in that sense. Median settings, it is a huge upgrade over both settings. You get all the stuff that you need. You get grass, you get shadows. Shadows are not really well defined, but you get them. Alright, and the performance profile that you can expect at median settings, it is basically something like 60 frames per second in the best case scenarios, and worst case scenarios 30 to 40. Alright, so that you can expect. Uh, I haven't tried eye settings because as soon as I put the game on eye settings, on the worst case scenario I was having like 20 frames per second, so I immediately discarded the eye settings from testing because performance was not good enough on those areas. Let me tell you, you might be surprised because when you start the game is not as much demanding as it is in here. And the more you go through, half an hour later, you will discover that, oh my god, this game is so demanding. Yeah, it changes entirely. Since the beginning of the game until where I am at the moment, the game really gets more and more demanding the time goes through. And yeah, then I decided to try 1440p with the both settings, and actually I was having like the worst case scenario like 50 frames per second, probably 45 in the worst case scenario at the both settings. Median settings offers around 30 frames per second. Sometimes it does drop to 27, 25. So I decided to discard it from the video. So yeah, I just kept the 1440p both settings, and then just for the fun stake, for the fun thing, I just decided to try 4K low settings, and I was having like 30 frames per second, 25 frames per second, so something in between 25 to 40, basically with 4K low settings. So, but the bottom of the line for me is that if you want 60 frames per second, the ideal solution it is to play at 1080p low settings, which is actually what you are seeing in here. But let's change to this time around to 1080p median settings. So on low settings it was really bad. Like you saw, there was no shadows, nothing at all. But at median settings, things are so much better. Everything, the lighting seems to be right. It's just not flat lighting, as you can see. It's entirely different. Well, time of day it is also different too, because every time I do load the game, the time is different, the weather is different, so it's hard to do apples on apples benchmarking here, because everything it is just simply different. But as you can see, median settings 40 frames per second, but the look that you get with these median settings, it is entirely different beast comparing to low settings. Low settings it is kind of the potato mold, which you will only enable if your PC can't handle, and the median settings it is just what I consider to be the bare minimum to play this game respectively. Alright, having the art style that is supposed to, and it is what it is. But like I told you, median settings offers you a performance around 30 frames per second. It might drop, alright. This is just half an hour into the game. I believe there will be more demanding areas, alright, where performance probably will be lower than 30 frames per second. Keep in mind that I'm also recording, so that have an impact. But it is just one of the first zones where I did got into. I'm not really sure how much or less demanding the rest of the game will be. But yeah, this is a demanding game. And if I had to play this game, playing with low settings, it is absolutely no question, because it's entirely potato. But playing at median, despite I retain all the graphics as I want to, frame rate at 30 frames per second for driving and stuff like that, it is incredibly bad. At the time of this video on Steam, the game have 80% of score, which seems pretty good. Most of the people seems to be enjoying the game. The main complaints, it doesn't seem to be the performance. It seems to be bugs, crashes, stuff like losing save files. I've seen that like in a 5-minute search, I encounter more than 5 people saying that lost their save files. So, despite the game it is actually not expensive at the moment, I would say that you should wait probably a little bit more in case you want to really play and sink your teeth into this game, because it seems that the developers behind this game are actively still working into the game. There are issues for people with RTX cards, for example. If you want to enable DLSS, it seems that it is giving worse performance than not having DLSS, which is kind of funny. It's identified as an issue to be fixed in the patch notice of the game. So yeah, it seems to be there is still a lot of issues. It seems that the game it is still on a very raw state. So in case you really want to seek the teeth into this game but not having too much issues, probably wait for the game until it gets to a sale or something like that. You can buy the game cheaper, and probably at that time the game will be more fixed and more performance. Probably they will optimize further the game. Also, I would love these developers to add FSR or Intel XeSS, but so far at the time of this video only DLSS it is available, which is not supported by our GTX 1650 Super, as you may know. So with this I will end up my chat. In case you want to jump to any of the settings that I did try, there is a description, timestamps on the description of the video. And thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Okay, newbie, I'll keep this simple. Don't want to overwhelm that little brain of yours. You'll need a few things to rebuild the antenna at the garage. First on the list is plasma. The woods are littered with plasma generators. Look for a research trailer or a spark tower. That's those antenna things zapping you when you get too close. Both are always accompanied by plasma generators.
The ARC device is picking up on some plasma generators nearby. Your headset is...
Looks like it's ripe for the picking. Can't get at it with your hands, though. An impact hammer will do the trick. Find those materials by any means necessary. No one's coming back ever again, so go on and take what you need. Transports, homes, outposts, facilities, they've all been abandoned since the zone was decommissioned in '87. Most of those structures won't even be there the next time the instability scrambles the area. So loot to your heart's content. Just loot away.
Look at you, out in the zone all on your own. They grow up so fast, don't they? And Oppie, back at the helm. Been a long time, old gal. Didn't think we'd, talk again after that whole Sasquatch incident.
Yes, I was hoping to go another decade without hearing your voice again. What, did you finally talk Francis to death?
Hello to you too, Oppie. And no, I'm still here.
Okay, newbie, I'll keep this simple. Don't want to overwhelm that little brain of yours. You'll need a few things to rebuild the antenna at the garage. First on the list is plasma. The woods are littered with plasma generators. Look for a research trailer or a spark tower. That's those antenna things zapping you when you get too close. Both are always accompanied by plasma generators.
The ARC device is picking up on some plasma generators nearby.
Your headset has a built-in scanner. Use it on the plasma generator, and it'll figure out the tools you need. Looks like it's ripe for the picking. Can't get at it with your hands, though. An impact hammer will do the trick. Find those materials by any means necessary. No one's coming back ever again, so go on and take what you need. Transports, homes, outpost facilities, they've all been abandoned since the zone was decommissioned in 87. Most of those structures won't even be there the next time the instability scrambles the area. So loot to your heart's content. Just loot away.
Look at you, out in the zone all on your own. They grow up so fast, don't they? And I'll be back at the helm. Been a long time, old gal. Didn't think we'd, talk again after that whole Sasquatch incident.
Yes, I was hoping to go another decade without hearing your voice again. What did you finally talk Francis to death?
Hello to you too, Oppie. And no, I'm still here.